Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 6th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my co-host here on Tuesday afternoon in Canada. It's Tuesday evening over there in Holland. Mr. Big Marcel. What's going on, big man?
What's up, man? Good to be back. Breaking some fights down, UFC card coming up, an early card. So,
Yeah, it's a crazy week. I mean, there's a lot of MMA going on right now. We talked about the one card yesterday, Marcel. That's tomorrow night. And there was a change, right? What happened?
Yeah, so let me check. Tom Taylor put that out earlier today. Mehdi Bargi, who was supposed to fight Royk, is out of his fight. Also, Rade Opasic, who was supposed to fight on the kickboxing fight against Patrick Schmidt, is out of the fight. Now Royk is fighting Schmidt in the short notice MMA fight. And they put Chingiz Alazov against Enrico Kehl on the card tomorrow. A kickboxing fight that was supposed to happen on 1 TNT3, which shows you it's tape delayed.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? There's some good fights coming up, but the fact is tape delayed. Not this one. This one's live, but some of the other ones, Marcel. It sucks because there's some good fights. I was looking at the calendars, like, Shinya Aoki's fighting Sage Northcutt, Anila Hassan is coming back, and there's a bunch of guys, Yoshihiro Akiyama and stuff. So there's a lot of good fights coming up. But today it's going to be UFC centric. I just wanted to mention that because we did break that fight down yesterday, and I was like, minus 400 is a steal on this guy. He would have easily won that fight, by the way. I'm pretty sure he beats this new guy too, but I haven't had a chance to look at his new opponent. But either way, go back and watch yesterday's show, guys. If you missed it, we did break down one. On Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, I'll be here with AJ Shulo. He'll be joining me to break down Bellator. And by the way, that Julia Budd fight is not on this week's card. It's next week. And everyone keeps saying all the betting websites have it listed for Friday. It's actually next Friday, Marcel, at 2:57.
Yeah, I know. I saw it as well. I don't know why that's...
Every website, and Tapology has it, so everyone kind of copies them, which makes sense because they are a great website. But either way, All right, I think we got to get into this card because, man, we have a lot of fights to talk about, Marcel. 15 fights on this card, guys, so it's crazy. Like these previews are going to be as in-depth as we can get in the time limit. We have an hour to go with you guys. Let's just start off with the first fight of the night. Welterweight bout, Impa Kasanganay dropping down to welterweight, taking on Sasha Palatnikov, who's coming off a massive upset win over Louis Cossi. It's a good fight, Marcel. Kick off the card. It's a banger. Right now, we got Impa at minus 290. Big favorite here against Sasha plus 245. What's your thoughts on the first fight of the night?
Man, this is it's a fun fight, man. It's very low on the card, Impa is coming off that highlight knockout loss against Junkie Buckley. Before that, looked good, man, against Maki Pitolo. He looked good, actually, in his first Contender Series fight. The second wasn't that great, I think, but I was happy he got signed. Going a weight class down right now from 185 to 170. Sasha Palatnikov really surprised me, to be honest. Against Kosi, did really well, and was a fight of the night. He won the fight in the third round. I think it was a TKO. So... yeah, man. The thing is, I'm really high on Kasanganay, and I think if he fights smart, he can win this fight. But Palatnikov is a very tricky fighter to fight. We saw it in the Kosi fight. Wasn't really familiar with him before. I know he fought at UAE Warriors, but my lead would be Kasanganay. I don't know what the line is. You probably can.
It's 3-1. I mean, it's heavy odds. Like, to me, it's probably a little bit too heavy. I lean towards Impa too. Listen, I like this guy. I liked him ever since I saw him in Contender Series 2 years ago when he had his first fight. I like this guy a lot. I think he's a good fighter, guys. Yeah. He's also training at Sanford MMA now. That's a great gym. It's one of the best gyms in the sport right now. So I like that too. All those guys are winning. Like, if you just bet on fighters from that gym, you will win money. This is a little bit of a trickier fight, I think, because first off, he's dropping at 170 for the first time. We don't even know how the weight cut's going to go. So that's a factor we don't know about. I'd imagine it's going to be okay. I don't think he was a huge middleweight by any means, so I think it's going to be okay. And if he can make that move successfully, Marcel, and if he has that gas tank still, the wrestling should be enough to win this fight, I believe. Having said that, Sasha Palatnikov is not that bad of a fighter, and he was really a huge underdog in the first fight with Cossi. No one thought he'd win that fight, and he goes out there and beats the guy in the third round. So we know he's got good cardio. We know he's super durable, too. He's going to be in this fight for the full 15 minutes. This is going to be a tough fight for Impa. I do lean towards Impa, Marcel, because of the wrestling. I do think it's going to be enough. He's going to be able to take down Sasha, but this guy's a bit of a wild card, guys. Like, he's actually a guy that's hard to find tape on. Besides that fight, you can't find his fight with Munar Lazez. I couldn't find the fight. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. He got knocked out by him. I wanted to see that fight. I couldn't find it. I saw some other stuff on YouTube, and he looked okay. Like, don't get me wrong, he looks like a good fighter, but I'd like to see more. And I just can't guess that he's going to be this great fighter based on just the one fight I saw in the UFC. So I was impressed by him, but at the same time, man, I really like Impa. I believe in this guy. I think he does get the job done, Marcel. And just the odds are very heavy. I mean, -290. That seems heavy, right? Like when you say Marcel?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, definitely. Yeah.
I think it's a little too high, guys.
I'm kind of surprised with the odds, man. I think the odds are a little bit off. But
again, Kladnikov was a big underdog the first time. He doesn't have a good record, right? 6-2. It was 5-2 before. But again, you got to look at a fighter past the record, and this guy has more experience in the weight class. And you know what? He might be the better striker too. And we're completely forgetting to mention it was coming off a brutal knockout loss to Joaquin Buckley. Like that was the last fight he had, right? I'd imagine this guy's going to bounce back, though. Everything I've seen from this guy, he's a very dedicated fighter. I think he'll bounce back. It's just the odds are heavy, so take that as you will. Next fight here, light heavyweight bout. Da Un Jung against William Knight. Interesting fight, Marcel. Pretty close odds. -140 for Jung, +120 for Knight. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man, Da Un Jung did look pretty good so far in his UFC career. But gotta say, man, I was really disappointed in his Alvey performance. I mean, that's a fight. If you're an upcoming fighter, you need to win against Sam Alvey, and he didn't do that. William Knight, he came in the Contender Series first. He fought twice in the Contender Series, right? The first time he got that developmental deal, right? Or am I tripping?
No, he did. I think he might have fought 3 times on it. Let me double check. Either 2 or 3 times. Let me double check.
You were freezing. You were freezing for me.
Sorry, and he's fought twice on Contender
Series. That's why I was hesitant, but. Yeah, and he fought in between. He lost to Tafan and Chukri, right?
And you know what? That fight is worth mentioning because if you can watch that fight, it's on Fight Pass. That was a terrible stoppage. Like he got dropped, but he was fine, and the referee stopped the fight. So that's a bad stoppage. Yeah. Anyways, keep going, Marcel.
Yeah. I mean, I like Knight, but you saw in the Brundage fight, man, where he won his contract. He's getting finished there in the Brundage fight, you know, and he took it. I can't get the English word. I'm sorry. Took it around and he won the fight. I think Knight looks good so far, man. What I saw from him, but he's kind of a cardio issue as well, man. I think he needs to finish the fight in the first round or early in the second to get the win here. And Dan Young, he's a good opponent, man. I think, but overall. Man, I can't bet on a guy who draws against Sam Alvey, man. In a fight, he definitely needs to win. And maybe you think I'm crazy, but I'm going with William Knight here, man. And you got to give me the odds as well here. I want to.
Yeah, again, it's close. It's like almost pick 'em. It's slightly lean towards Jung, so it's not like crazy odds by any means. But Knight's a small underdog. He has a path to victory for sure. Here's the thing. It's weird because I actually like Knight against Mennefield. I feel like I almost got lucky there, Marcel, if you know what I mean, because I think he probably would have lost that fight, especially after we saw how good Mennefield looked against Sharon. So I feel like I almost dodged the bullet. I probably would have lost the unit on him there. I was going to bet on him. This is a completely different fight. It's a different matchup against a guy in Jung who is, first off, 6 inches taller, 5 inches longer reach, 5 years younger. He has a lot of physical advantages, guys. I agree with you, Marcel, that he did lose that fight. I thought against Sam Alvey as well. If you go to MMA decisions, my scorecard read for Sam Alvey. I thought he won the fight. I think it was a bad call by the judges. But at the same time, it's a different fight. Like Sam Alvey's a striker, right? Knight is not really a striker. He's a grappler. So when I watched tape on Jung and I watched all his fights I could find, he also goes by a different name on some of his YouTube fights called Da Un Jung. So that's why you can't find all of his fights. You type in Da Un Jung, you have to type in Da Un Jung. What are you saying?
That's a big problem with the Korean. There's a big problem with the Korean, the Russian, and the Chinese fighters. They write different.
I couldn't find the
write in
fights.
Korean.
I'm like,
but that's the good thing about topology, man. But topology is good because they also have to.
It is.
They have the original name there, the Korean name. So if you copy paste that into YouTube or whatever, you can find more videos, I think.
Yeah, so anyways, it's worth mentioning if you guys are going to do some research on him because, that's what happens. Listen, I think the most important thing here that I had to pay attention to was the grappling because I think Knight's going to grapple with him. Knight's a grappler. I mean, that's how he wins his fights. That's how he beat Kamur, and he's good. He's good at grappling. That's how I thought he would have beat Mennefield. you know what, man? I got to be honest. Jung has good grappling. It's actually really good. First off, he choked out Igor Gimov in his first fight in the UFC. Yes, he got outstruck in the feet. He's got striking defense problems. Like, he can lose to a striker, and I will pick against some strikers, but he still won that fight in the third round with a choke, which was nasty. And, watching his fight, and watching his fights back, man, like, he can get taken down, but he gets right on top of you. He's physically strong, and he's able to transition and get on top. So I like this matchup for Jung, actually, which is crazy because 2 weeks ago I liked Knight, but now it's like a completely different fight, guys. He's not fighting a guy who has cardio issues. Jung is going to be there for 15 minutes. He will be there the whole time. I like Jung in this fight. I think he's got a lot of advantage in this fight. So minus 140, I think he could be a play. I mean, I haven't made any plays yet, but I'd like to play him. I think a lot of people are going to bet on Knight here, though, as a dog, so maybe the line's going to drop down a little bit. Jose, I'll get to your question quick, but we have so many fights to preview, we really can't take questions at the moment unless they're about the fights. But he's asking why they stay in the rankings after being suspended by USADA, and should the winner of Allen and Sodiq Yusuff call out Yair? Possibly, yeah. And as far as being suspended, yeah, because he wasn't suspended, I guess, for actually testing positive, he got suspended for missing the test. Maybe that's why. It's a different thing he got suspended for. Yeah, he missed 3 times, which was sketchy as hell. But anyways, yeah, I like Jung in that fight, Marcel. So,
okay.
Let me just pull up the next one. Sorry, guys. Close the window. What's going to be? There's so many fights on this card. It's crazy. Okay, next fight. Luis Saldana against Jordan Griffin. Right now, Marcel, the odds, minus 140 Saldana, plus 120 Griffin. Any thoughts on this fight?
I thought it was an odd fight, man, when they announced it, because I didn't expect them to match these two against each other. Luis Saldana, yeah, he beat Vince Murdoch in the Contender Series, man. And I think Saldana in that fight was a slight favorite. He wasn't a big favorite, I think, but he was a slight favorite. Murdoch fought in the UFC before, right? One time,
and then he had a brain injury or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
So I think, man, Saldana, I wasn't really big on him before, to be honest, but he looks better, man, with the years, I think he looked pretty decent in his fights. I saw him fight in LFA where we got a rear naked choke win against Whitstock, I think. Well, look really good. That was a nice finish, I think. And Jordan Griffin, man, he just doesn't do it for me in the UFC, man, for some reason, man. I don't know how you think about that. No. I gotta say, his fight against Yusuf Zalal, his last fight, he could have won. Actually, that was a close fight. I might think he maybe should have got it 29-28. It was very close, but I didn't have a problem with Zalal winning that fight. But overall, very underwhelming, man, in my opinion, in the UFC. He got a win against TJ Brown, but I think TJ Brown's still waiting for his first win in the UFC. He's fighting Kai Kamaka in 3 weeks. Listen, man, this is a tough fight to pick, in my opinion. Gut feeling, going with Luis Saldana, but not sure, man. Jordan Griffin can win this one as well if he improved. His ground game wasn't as bad against Yusuf Zalal. He was close in winning that fight. So, as a bettor, I would stay away from this one, but that's just my opinion.
No, I pretty much agree with you, actually. This is a close fight, guys. It really is. Griffin's a guy that, in general, you want to bet against, I think. I don't think he's a great fighter by any means. His record in the UFC kind of shows that, I think. But it's a different matchup, right, with this guy, because Griffin's a grappler, really, and Saldana's a pure striker. Like, again, he's a guy that there's not a lot of fights available. His last couple, you can see, he looked good in Contender Series. By the way, Vince Murdoch didn't make his debut in the UFC. He was supposed to fight Jordan Griffin in Minnesota. The fight got canceled.
Right.
But,
okay.
So, funny enough, he was supposed to fight Griffin. Anyways, as far as this fight goes, I mean, it's a tough one, guys. It really is, because Saldana, he has looked good lately. He's also training with those guys, Cejudo and those guys, which is nice to see. Griffin's at Rufus Sport. He's at a good camp too. Both guys have a lot of losses, man. They have a lot of losses, like 14-6 or 18-8, Marcel. Like, these are not really guys you want to put your money on, I don't think. I think this fight really could go either way, honestly. I'm leaning a little bit towards Saldana just because he has more momentum coming in this fight. He has 4 straight wins. And if he can keep it standing, he should be able to kind of piece apart Griffin. But that's a big if, man. I could easily see Griffin taking the ground, wrestling him, right? He's got good grappling. So it's a tough one, Marcel. I was thinking about picking Griffin, but I can't pick this guy. I just don't think he's that good, right? So why would I want to put money on him?
This is a typical fight that can screw your parlay, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't parlay this fight, guys. Don't even. This fight, it's a weird one. Like I would stay away from it. I want to get this question from Vic. Hey, Vic, do you think Jung and Knight goes over 1.5 rounds? I do favor it too. What do you think, Marcel? The last fight, Jung and Knight.
If you pick Jung, it's most likely it goes under over 1.5. But if you have Knight, you might rethink that, But you pick Young, so I would say it goes over 1.
I think it goes over. I mean, I think you're overselling Knight's. I mean, that's not true actually. Like a lot of his early wins in like the regional scene were kind of early finishes, but the fights we've seen Marcel with like the UFC has been in the third round and stuff, right? They've gone the third round, so I think it might go over.
Maybe I'm underrating Young. That's possible. I don't think I'm overrating. I think I'm
honestly, over-unders are not easy to bet, obviously, as we know, guys. But sure. I lean towards the over a little bit, just to answer your question, Vic. So that would be my lean in that fight. Anyways, yeah, we both like Saldana, but it's like slight lean, guys. All right, this fight is awesome. Jack Shore against Hunter Azure. I love this fight, Marcel. Jack Shore is a small favorite now. He is minus 150, and Hunter Azure plus 160 and plus 140 for Hunter Azure. So some money's coming out on Jack Shore right now, which I understand. What do you think?
You see all those European people behind me, because if I'm not picking Jack Shore, they're gonna hammer me.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Shore, he's good, man. What can we say about him? He very good in Cage Warriors. One of the biggest prospects in Europe. Came to the UFC, beat Nolan Hernandez, and then he beat Aaron Phillips. The only thing that is in the UFC, he has 2 opponents so far that maybe doesn't fit the caliber he should fight to be in those bigger fights in the UFC yet. He has just 2 fights so far in the UFC. It's not this. Aaron Phillips, he got him after. Who was that? Anderson Barinia. He didn't fight. He couldn't fight because he was injured or something. It was a short notice replacement. 2 finishes, 2 rear naked chokes. Now fighting Hunter Azure. Hunter Azure is a good fighter, man. He's 9-1. Only lost to Brian Keller because he fell in love too much with the striking and he got knocked out. Azure was a good wrestler, I think. He beat Brett Katona. He beat Cole Smith. We all know both guys are very, very good on the ground as well. Such a horrible fight to pick, to be honest, man, because I think it's pretty close. Overall, I think, man, I would slightly favor Jack Shore, and that's not because I'm European, guys, but I'm just slightly favor Jack Shore in this fight because I think he has more upside in this one. But yeah, it's close. It's razor thin. The coin can flip also to Azure. It's a 50-50 fight to me as well.
Yeah. Here's the thing with this fight, right? Like on paper, it's kind of a bad matchup for Jack Shore because Hunter Azure is a good wrestler, and he's pretty aggressive on the feet. Like, so I get that, right? But Jack Shore is like one of the top prospects in the sport. If he can't beat Hunter Azure, he's not going to go anywhere in the sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this, he should win this fight. I think he should be a bigger favorite, quite frankly. His ground game is so dominant, guys. I watched all his fights. Every fight he has in Cage Warriors is on Fight Pass. I watched them all. Every fight he gets to the ground, he gets the guys back. Even the fights where he's struggling to get down, he eventually gets their back. Hunter Azure is a good wrestler, but he has a gas tank problem. In the last fight with Cole Smith took his back late in the third round. In the fight with Brad Katona took his back in the third round. He slows down. I think it's going to be a competitive fight, but eventually I do think Jack Shore gets the fight to the ground, Marcel, and I do think he's going to get a submission in this fight, probably. If not, maybe a decision, because honestly, it's a young guy. He's 13-0 as a pro, 12-0 he's 25-0. Like, this guy's never lost. You don't want to bet against this guy. Don't bet against this guy. He's a good young fighter, and he's getting better. I want to see more of the striking. From what I saw, it's not great, but it's not terrible. I think it's probably got a little better. We'll see. I mean, Hunter Azure is an aggressive fighter with good wrestling, so this is going to be a good test. A test I believe this kid passes, man. Marcel, everything I've heard and seen from this guy leads me to believe he's going to be a contender for quite a long time in the UFC. I think he gets by this test. I think it's not as bad of a fight as some people are thinking for him at this point in his career. So that's my thoughts on this one, man. So we got the same pick so far, but maybe we'll get some different ones coming up because you got Marcel's favorite fighter in the world.
You are down Jung. I had William Knight.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. But this one, you got your favorite fighter in the world, Mr. Georges Danho, the Man Mountain, taking on Yorgan De Castro. Oh my! I gotta get your thoughts on this one. Okay, so the odds, by the way, are very heavy. Marcel minus 285 for De Castro, plus 245 for Danho. What do you think of this one? You think Daniel's got a chance, or you think it's destroyed? What do you think?
every fighter has a chance in every fight,
I
so
agree with
we
that
got to
too.
take that
That's
in
true.
mind,
That's true.
Um, I mean, De Castro, yeah, he lost 2 in a row. We know that. He knocked Tafa out in his UFC debut. And he looked great against Alton Meeks in the Contender Series, right? Was a big underdog, I
Oh,
remember.
yes. Huge underdog, plus 450 or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what can I say, man? I like De Castro, but he is not a top guy or whatever, you know. I think he is still kind of a learning curve in the UFC. Although he's how old is he, man? He's in his 30s already,
Dano's
I think.
37 now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, De Castro's 33. I see.
Yep. They're both
I
old.
mean, yeah, they both don't say 33 years old, man. I'm
That's a year
33 in
older than
2
me. I'm
years.
joking. It's really not that.
No, don't say that.
He looks way older, though. That guy doesn't look like he's
Yeah,
33. He looks like he's about
that's true.
38 or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Georges Daniel, man. I mean, I mean, the first fight he fought in the UFC against Omi Lanchuk, it was a horrible fight. Then he lured Omi Lanchuk in an illegal kick or illegal knee. I don't remember exactly anymore. And he was hoping for a DQ or no contest at that moment because he was just overdoing it. But they went to a technical decision and he lost. So that was pretty funny to me. Second fight was live there in Hamburg against Christian Colombo. He did the same thing in the first round. Lured Colombo an illegal shot, and Colombo was stupid enough to land the illegal shot, and he got a point deducted. Therefore, went to a draw. Probably most horrible fighter in the UFC. Sorry, guys, I don't like to shit on fighters, but I can stand the dude. Dragon De Castro first round knockout. I don't give a shit. Probably not the right breakdown of this fight. It can be a really tough decision fight. This one, but I'm going with De Castro, man, and I think De Castro should win this fight if he wants to stay in the UFC. This is a fight he should win.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree really. Here's the thing. It's like this guy hasn't fought in 5 years, I believe. Like, it's been a long time, right? What's he been doing this whole time? Is he a better fighter now? I went to his Instagram just to see. He actually did post a few pictures. He looks pretty good. Like, but he's barely updated over the last 5 years. Like, he's barely been. Like, where's this guy been? Like, literally,
probably with his knee and his hand on the ground, luring
this guy. I know
he
looks. Here's the thing with this. He's a quitter, guys. He's a guy that looks for a way out. He really does. He's a quitter. That's not a guy you want to put your money on. At the same time, though, these odds are pretty heavy, Marcel. I mean, Castro, he hasn't looked that good. He just lost as a big favorite in his last fight, guys, against what's his name? Oh gosh,
for Carlos Felipe.
Carlos Felipe, sorry, yeah. And Greg Hardy he lost to too, and he looked terrible in that fight. He did knock out Kafla, he did beat Meeks. You know he's got power, guys. I don't know, man. The odds are crazy here, guys. Like it's a little heavy. Like he probably does win, but everyone's just like, oh, I'm throwing them in my parlay. Like first off, you guys don't I don't bet like that anyways. But second off, this guy is not a lock or anything like that. Like this fight, this could be an upset.
Yeah, I know. There?
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's saying this is I see a lot of people saying, oh, he's easy money parlay. And like, bro, I'm not so sure. I mean, listen, I think Dano stinks. I think he's a quitter. This is the guy who took a knee. He put his hand down right when Colombo was throwing the knee. And then the other fight, we got punched in the dick in the third round and acted like he was like murdered or something. Like this guy doesn't want to fight. He's a quitter, man. Like I remember that guy JP buys a few weeks ago. I told you guys like he's got that quit in him. We saw that with that fight with the elbow. Like you don't want to bet on the guys that have quit in them. So I'm not betting on Danho, but I'm not betting on De Castro either, man. I just think the odds are too high. I wouldn't lay 3-1 on this dude. I wouldn't. 15 fights in the card. I'll find a better fight to play. I will take De Castro. I do think he's probably the better striker and probably just outstrikes this guy. Maybe scores a knockout, but Dano, you know, he's for all his faults, he is a pretty tough dude. He's pretty big and strong. I don't know. This guy stinks, though.
I just hope De Castro is smart enough to not land a knee or an illegal shot.
This guy better not take another like the fight with the Daniel Omalanchuk fight. He gets punched in the dick and went down like a hump of bricks or something. It was crazy. Like he's looking for a way out. He's like, I can't fight anymore. And then the other fight, Christian Colombo. Colombo had him like, and he put his hand out right at the same time where you need him. So it is what it is. Let me get some comments here, guys. Pavlo, what's going on, man? Yes, we saw the updated rankings. Amosov and Lima and Amosov moved up over MVP, which
Jason
makes sense.
Jackson is still under MVP.
Yeah, I know that's stupid too. But we don't have time to talk about the rankings. I'll talk about Thursday with AJ if anything. Cole Dano by DQ. Yo, he could. This guy is one of those guys that looks for a way out. Like De Castro could he could put his hand on the mat and like play the game with them and wait for a knee in the head. Don't
Put
bet
a
on
few
this.
dollars on that. Put a few dollars on it.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't want to touch this guy. Nick, what's going on, man? He says he wants Blanchard. We'll talk about that. I think that's the next fight. Kenshiro out of the truth sayer and hard guy in the bums. I mean, this guy, like, listen, like, anyone in the UFC I respect. I mean, it takes, dude, these are like, it's like the top 1% of the fighters in the world. Like, these are the best fighters in the world. But this Danho guy, man, this guy, he just doesn't want to fight. He wants out of the fight. Like, you don't want to bet on those guys. Cole, can you bet on a fight ending in no contest? There are some books that have those, Cole. We know that. I think my bookie's got or something. It's not for this fight, but I know for other fights they have, like, this guy bleed or maybe Castro poke him in the eye in the first. He could. He might just want to get his win check or his show money, Marcel. Let me take my show money and go take another 5-year retirement. This guy is just – I remember every breakdown I've had of this guy in the past, we've always been like, why is this guy in the UFC? Like, he's just not great. But at the same time, I just don't think the Castro's as good as everyone says. Like, I really don't, man. I did take him against Meeks. I took him against Tafa, but I think I picked him his last 2 fights and he lost. So I don't trust him anymore. You know? Anyways, picks to Castro, but, man – no thanks. All right, this fight, John McDessie versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This is a great fight. This is a good fight. Bahamondes minus 190, McDessie plus 165. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, man, John McDessie. I always liked him for some reason, man. I think he's an interesting fighter. I remember him landing that spinning back fist in the beginning of his UFC against.
Bro,
Kyle
I was
Watson,
at that fight. That was at UFC 129 in Toronto. That was almost 10 years ago today. That card's coming up to his 10-year anniversary. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. Bro, we thought that guy was dead, Kyle Watson. Like, he did not get up off the canvas for about 10 minutes. They brought the paramedics in. Like, he wouldn't wake up. I don't think he ever fought again. He might have fought one more time. That was one of those brutal knockouts I've ever seen in my life. And it was one of the first cards I ever saw, too. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was that huge event with Shield St. Pierre, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of eye pokes, there were eye pokes in that fight, too. Remember that fight? Shields was poked again.
Not really, to be honest.
I think he juiced in the eye in that one. He almost won a decision. It was a terrible fight.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it wasn't a great fight, but I can't recall the eye pokes. The thing is, when you're live there, you can recall probably more because you're more viewing it. You know what I mean? If you're just watching it from TV,
there's a whole article on it. Hold on, I'm going to find the thing. Jake Shields. Look at this. I'll put the picture up here. They call it the eye poke of doom. There's a bunch of articles. I remember this one. And Pavlo, I mean, we're just joking, man. I mean, like, we all know eye pokes are brutal and they hurt. Like, this was this fight. And we're just talking about Danho because he's a quitter. He is. I have no problem saying that. He's quit in 2 fights in the UFC. So, but look at this fight. I mean, you saw the eye pokes. This is brutal. There's no doubt about it, man. It is brutal. I'm not trying to downplay the severity of an eye poke. I think that they need to bring new gloves in and stuff. But with this guy, like that particular fighter, that guy does not want to fight. Anyways, give me your thoughts on this one.
I still don't understand how the UFC can not improve those gloves. You know, if you have a UFC glove on, like I said, this is so not flexible. This one, you keep getting this. You know, it just sucks. But yeah, we don't like eye pokes, man. No worries. Yeah, I mean, McDessie, he was on a nice 3-fight win streak, man, and then he got that broken by Trinaldo. I mean. What wasn't a bad fight, I think, at all. I think it was actually a pretty good fight, right? It was a pretty competitive one. I mean, Bahamondes, I really liked him in the Contender Series, man. I think he's a big talent. He's from Chile. He had that front kick knockout against was it again Gomez or somebody? I don't know again anymore who he fought. Before that, he fought in LFA. He actually he's a solid fighter overall, man. I think he's really good. I don't know how you think about it, Adam, but man, awkward silence here. But
who are you picking?
Yeah, I'm kind of in doubt in this one, man, because I think Madessi is a veteran and he can win this fight in a decision way, in a smart way. You know what I mean? But Bahamondes, I'm pretty confident that Bahamondes can pull this one off. Although McDessie is very, very crafty as a veteran, that's why I'm really in doubt if he can do it. But I always tell you, go with my gut feeling. So when I go with my gut feeling, I'm taking Bahamondes. But again, I can be wrong. Don't bet on my picks. Please listen to Adam.
No. I mean, this one, I kind of agree with you, though. Like, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Like, John Makdessi can win this fight because he's a smart striker. He's a smart fighter. He's good at moving around. He's good at backpedaling, good at counter-striking, right? Here's the problem. He's getting older now. Bahamondes is 12 years younger. And here's the thing. This guy is fucking huge, guys. He's a massive guy for this division. He is 7 inches taller and has a 7-inch reach advantage in this fight. That is huge. I think he's dropping for welterweight from his last fight. I like this kid, man. He's huge, and he's super aggressive, and he throws that kick out. And Makdessi's been knocked out by kicks. He's susceptible to them, guys, because of the height advantage of this guy. His kick reaches a good level in this. We saw it fight with Donald Cerrone. We saw the fight with Landon Venat. This guy can be knocked out by kicks. Man. Yeah, damn, I was at that fight too. I was at that fight too, bro. I was at that one too, where he got the spinning back kick. The best fights are in Toronto, man.
This man is at every fight, man. Come on, this is amazing. That was a Canadian card as well, yeah.
Yeah, I like this kid. I do like him. He looked great. He's been a little bit untested, though. I mean, there's no doubt about it, guys. Makdessi's a good fighter. He's going to give him a good test. I think it's a test this kid passes. I like this guy a lot. Probably someone I'm going to end up betting on because the advantages I just pointed out, the age, the reach, the length, like the height, everything, like all that stuff. And Makdessi's on the way out, I believe. That being said, he is a smart striker. And listen, he's made a career out of beating guys that were better strikers on paper. Shane Campbell, Darren Cruikshank, Sam Stout. He goes in there and beats these guys. So it's a fight he could win, but I don't think he wins it because of the age now. I think he's too advanced in his career. 5 years ago, he would have won this fight. I don't like it now. This kid, Bahamondes, he's 23 years old, Marcel, super young, getting better every fight. I think he's training with Valley, whatever it's Valley Flow with Juliana Pena and those guys, or girls, I should say, at that gym. So, yeah, I mean, he's at a decent camp now. I like this kid, guys. He's also I forgot to mention this. There's a picture of him training with Khabib at the PI from a month ago. So he got some training with Khabib as well. I wanted to check that out. Makdessi, Trey Ridger's saying John's fought once a year since 2016. I don't think he's improving much. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean, like, there wasn't much available either on his Instagram to see, like, what's going on with him. Like, he's a very quiet guy. He could win because he's a good striker, man, but I just think everything goes against him here. Like, everything's pointing towards Bahamondes. So I like this kid. And I'm with you, Kenshiro. I like him, but yeah, you're right. I mean, Makdessi's a smart fighter. I just think, guys, this is a huge size advantage. Like, it's big. John Makdessi's a guy that should have always been at featherweight. He just couldn't make the weight. You're going to see, like, it's going to be like a featherweight fighting a welterweight in this fight. It's a big size difference. So I like Bahamondes. All right, Marcel, let's go to the next one. Blanchfield against Norma Dumont. Aaron Blanchfield, big underdog here, Marcel, plus 200. Norma Dumont, minus 245. I know you like Blanchfield. Tell us why you like her.
It's very easy why I like her. I think she's a great talent. I'm really high on her, man. This first time I saw her fight, that wasn't Invicta. That when she was 1-0. I haven't seen her first CFFC fight. She looked really good. She also has a win over Kay Hansen in her second Invicta fight. Yep. She lost to Tracy Cortez in the fight she won, in my opinion. She won that 2-1, in my opinion. I remember almost everybody on Twitter was like, she won that fight. But hey, whatever, it happens. After that, she won 3 more. She's really good. She's actually flyweight. She's now going up to bantamweight because it's short notice fight against Norma Dumont. And the thing is, Norma Dumont, she didn't look good in her UFC debut. That was at featherweight against Megan Anderson. She got knocked out. But in the second fight, she looks much better. But it was against Ashley Evans-Smith. Yeah. And let's be really honest. No disrespect to Ashley Evans-Smith. When did Ashley Evans-Smith look good recently in the UFC? I can't remember it. So for me, I really don't understand the line here. I think Dumont is not a bad fighter at all, no disrespect, but I think Blanchfield is a huge talent. She has everything you need to have in the division. I know it's a bantamweight, so yeah, but I think she still has a reach advantage. What I read, so I mean,
same reach. It's the same reach.
Yeah, same reach. Yeah, she can win this fight, man. I really don't know why Dumont is such a big favorite. Yeah. I'm definitely on Blanchfield here, man. I'm going with a unanimous decision win for her.
There you go. She could win, guys. I got to be honest. Here's the thing. You told me she's so great, right? All I've heard for everyone, Aaron Blanchfield's great. So I watched her fights. I watched all her fights in Invicta. I wanted to see how good she really is. I think she's pretty good. She's super young. She's 21 years old, turning 22, I believe, soon. She's super young. Like, she's got 9 years. She's 9 years younger in this fight. So that's an advantage. she's like a sponge, right? She's going to soak it up. But man, I got to be honest, Marcel. I think she's got holes in her game, bro. I don't think she's as good as some people are saying, maybe including yourself. I don't think she has any striking. I know she knocked out Leonardo with the head kicks. I that's for sure. So she did. But other than that, I haven't seen much of the way of striking. Also, I think she can be like kind of controlled a little bit here in this fight, guys. Like the Tracy Cortez fight that everyone says is a bad decision. She probably should have won that fight 2-1. I agree with you, Marcel. She probably should have won. But the fact that Cortez was on top of her so much worries me, guys. Like this girl, Dumont, is former featherweight fighting at 135 and bullied Ashley Evans Smith in her last fight. Like, I didn't want to like her here. I didn't want to. I wanted to be on Blanchfield. I really did. I can't do it, man. I can't do it in this fight because I think the size discrepancy is going to show up in this fight. I don't think this girl should be fighting this weight class. I don't know why her manager couldn't get her a fight at 125. This blows my mind, guys. I think it's a bad matchup for this girl. I really do. So even though I don't like the line, I'm not betting on Dumont. She's a big, strong girl. She's improving her game. She did get KO'd by Megan Anderson, but that's a different fight, guys. Blanchfield is not the same type of striker and doesn't have the same type of power, I don't believe. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm going to pick Dumont, Marcel, but I can't blame you for taking a shot on Blanchfield. She's a big underdog. She could win this fight. She could out-grapple this girl. Because she is a good grappler, don't get me wrong. When she gets the fight to the ground like these low-level girls, she gets in mount, she rains down punches, she goes through submissions, she's strong. I don't know, bro. I can't do it, though. I got to still go with Dumont. I didn't want to like her here, guys. I really didn't, but after watching the Evan Smith fight again, and watching her fight in Brazil, which is on YouTube, she's a strong girl, and she's good at getting on top of her opponents, and I think that could be what happens here. So that's my lean, but I guess I'm playing it a little bit safe because I think the odds are a little high, so I can't blame you, Marcel.
Can I add something to that? I agree with you that she should have actually get at flyweight.
Yeah,
she probably should have. But also the UFC, man. Why would you?
She should have been signed. Why was she not signed before Kay Hansen and Leonardo? Victoria Leonardo. Why is she in the UFC really? Like, so I'm with you. She should have been here, but I just think the weight class is going to be a problem for her. I really do. I don't think she's a bantamweight. She is a flyweight.
She is definitely. I agree.
I think it's going to be you'll see a size discrepancy, which is what you're saying. So I'm with you, straight wager.
That's also the only thing that kind of scares me in this fight.
And this for sure. Yeah, I'm with you completely, boys. I'm with you. You can't take a ton away from that fight, guys. I agree with you, but at the same time, she's a strong girl, man. Like, we saw that a few times now. So we'll see. Blanchfield could win, though. I'm not going to talk you out of it, Marcel. I think she's got a chance.
You can talk me out of it, man.
No, I know I can't. I just honestly, bro, I didn't love her as much as I expected to. I'll be honest. Like, I wanted to love her a lot more. I wanted to be like, this is the next Ronda Rousey or something. But I was like, she's pretty good. I'm like, maybe she's next Kay Hansen. Maybe she can win a few fights.
She's still really young,
She's young, though. That's the thing. She's improving. I just don't like this matchup. Look at Max Holloway. He fought Dustin Poirier in his debut, up a weight class and got submitted in the first round. Now he's one of the best fighters in the world, right? Sometimes you have to take a bad fight to get in the UFC. I don't think this is a great matchup for this girl. We'll see, though. We will see. All right, Marcel.
You might be right.
We'll see. I mean, you have your read, and I totally respect it. I wasn't so sure. All right, let's get through this fight. The rest of these fights, guys. Okay, so Scott Holtzman against Matthias Gamrot. This is a great fight. This is an awesome fight.
Gamrot the prelims.
I don't know. This should probably be the main card opener or something. Yeah. Gamrot minus 235. Scott Holtzman plus 195. What do you think?
I mean, Holtzman. You know what you get with Holtzman, man. He's
super tough.
Super tough, coming forward, almost an iron chin, Yeah, he got stopped by Beneil Dariush with a spinning back fist in the last fight. But, man, Dariush is so much improving as well. I mean, I'm really liking Dariush, how he's fighting now, And I think also he's a really great chance against Ferguson, but that's for something for another time. Holtzman, man, I mean, I was kind of surprised he lost to Nick Lance in that fight because that was a fight he probably should have won if he would have making that next step upwards, Got to win against Jim Miller after that as well, losing to Dariush. And, man, it's hard, he's a tough guy, but now he's fighting Matthias Gamrot. We also saw Gamrot's debut in the UFC. He was undefeated when he came to the UFC. Came from KSW, double champion. Very good fighter. Wins over Norman Park. He won against Kleber Koike-Erbst. He won against Marian Zielkowski. Really good fighters over there, So he fought Guram Kutate-Latse. I scored it for Guram, 29-28. I know many people are 29-28 for Gamrot. I think it was a super close fight. It was a fight of the night as well. it just kind of sucked that those two had to fight each other in their respective debuts. I think I didn't like that because I think they are both huge talents. And listen, man, this is a sophomore fight for Gamrot in the UFC. I see him winning this one, man. Gamrot is a super tough guy. He's good on the ground. He's good stand-up. I might think he'd take this fight to the ground, although Holtzman has a pretty tough ground game as well. But I don't see Gamrot losing twice in the UFC after each other. He's going to win this one, man. And that's a good win to have under your cap, man, against Holtzman. So unanimous decision for Mateusz Gamrot here.
Just a correction. You're right, Kevin. I'm wrong about that. But he took it on really short notice, like a few days now. I remember that fight really well. It's on the Conor Diaz card. The point is, sometimes you have to take a bad matchup to get UFC. That's what I'm basically saying. But you're right. It wasn't a weight class difference, so I apologize. The second fight was at 155. We saw the difference there. Yeah, and I'm with Kishore. He's 37 years old. He's getting old, guys. Like, he really is. Scott Holtzman's a good fighter, though. Don't get me wrong. He is good. I think he could beat a lot of fighters in the UFC still. Like Jim Miller, he beat last year. He looked good in that fight. But coming off a brutal knockout loss, maybe his chin's going now. Gamrot is good. He's really good. So the fight with Kutateladze, right? Because it was such a close fight. So I'm watching it and I'm thinking, like, man, who won this fight? And then they literally they're like reading the scorecards. My fucking tweet is on the TV. It's on the Fight Pass. It's like I said, like, fight of the night. This is an amazing war. It was the fight of the night. It was an amazing fight. But I scored it for Gamrot, right? And I still stand by that. I thought he edged it out. So I think he's still undefeated. I think he's 18-0. Like, this guy he's a winning fighter, guys. Like, he's really good. And like you said, Marcel, the fights in Norman Park, he looked great in those fights. I thought he looked good against Kutateladze, who's just an underrated fighter. People don't know how good he is, right? So, Holtzman, like, I don't want to completely undersell him. He's very durable, very tough. He will be in this fight. I like Gamrot here too. I do think he gets the job done, Marcel. He's a lot younger in this fight. I just think, he's got a lot of advantages. He's as far as the ground game, I mean, the ground game, it's not even like he's the better fighter on the ground, I think. No doubt about it too. So I like him. I like him quite a bit here, guys, and I do think he wins. So that's someone I like. He is a decent-sized favorite, but I think he wins this fight. Now, another guy who's a decent-sized favorite, Joe Solecki against Jim Miller, Marcel. This is a good fight too. Same odds, basically, guys. Minus 235, plus 195. So Solecki, a decent-sized favorite against Jim Miller. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man. Solecki looked good in the UFC so far, man. And, I mean, I expected him to win against Matt Wyman, to be honest, right? But the Austin Hubbard fight is a good win, man, and definitely with a rear naked choke win in the first round. Coming from the CFFC organization, where he did very well as well. Sounds so weird, but you know what I mean. Yeah. He's a good talent, man. I think, but man, getting Jim Miller your third UFC fight, that's not a small task. Jim Miller super tough. He's not going to submit Jim Miller. If he's submitting Jim Miller here, you can kick me off the podcast, but I don't think he's going to submit Jim Miller. I don't see it happening.
Bro, I don't. You know what? I think you should take it back because I actually think he could, and I don't want to kick you off the podcast. So take that back, okay?
Okay, I don't take it back. No, just kidding. Okay, if you want me to take it back, I'll take it back. But I don't think he's going to submit Jim Miller. I think he's a great fighter, though. But, man, listen, Jim Miller is tough as hell, tough as nails, and for me to pick Joe Solecki here, it's kind of a thing with, and this is maybe not a fair resemblance, but when Roosevelt Roberts fought Jim Miller, he was also a young up-and-comer, and he still is. And he got completely overwhelmed in that fight. I don't think Joe Solecki is going to get overwhelmed in the fight, don't get me wrong, but Jim Miller was a veteran, and I have a strong feeling Jim Miller is going to pull it off for some reason, and I think I might be in the minority here. I think many people are high on Joe Solecki. I see Adam already saying yes. So, man, we have a different pick here, but I'm picking Jim.
That's okay. I want to differentiate. I don't want us to have the same picks. That's boring. Yeah, I like Solecki, though, guys. I got to be honest. Again, I wanted to like Miller because he's a big underdog and he's a veteran. He obviously has the experience. We know he's amazing in the first round with his submissions. He could win this fight by first round submission, but I don't know, man. I mean, this guy Solecki looks really good to me, man. Like, his grappling is very strong. He's very good at getting on top of fights. Every fight he has goes to the ground and he's on top of the guy or gets to the back. I think he could possibly get a rear naked choke in this fight. I am that high on this kid in this fight. I think it's not a bad matchup for him. Like, I understand Miller is going to be dangerous, but I thought Miller would beat guys like Pichel and Holtzman. He lost those fights too. And the Pichel fight, I wouldn't say a completely similar fight, but Vince Pichel was able to get on top of him and have better positions and grind out a close fight. I kind of feel like the Solecki kid, like, he's like really good, and I think he's next level, man. So he's super young. He's super hungry. I like this guy, man. I didn't want to like him as much because the odds are too high, but sometimes the tape just tells a different story, and I liked what I saw from him, man. But it is a step up in competition. We'll see. I just think Jim, he's 37 now, I believe. He's 10 years older, Marcel. Like, that's a big age gap, man. And you guys know I love betting against the age gap. I have to do it here too. So Joe Selecki's going to be my pick in this one. Don't get me wrong. Jim could win by first round submission like he has against Roosevelt Roberts and these guys. But I'm telling you, this guy Selecki's a way better fighter than Roosevelt Roberts. He is way better. Roosevelt Roberts is a guy who's not really a UFC caliber fighter anymore. I think Selecki will be in the UFC for a while. I think this kid is good. He's training with those guys, Chris Weidman and Stephen Thompson and those guys. So he's at a good camp as well. And I don't know. I just think he's gonna learn a lot from those guys and those wrestlers and stuff. So we'll see. But I like Selecki. I just think the odds are probably a little bit too high, but we'll see.
Jim, Adam. That was weird. When you're past 30, after 30, you go and count back. So Jim Miller's actually 23.
For sure. Listen, the guy's a legend. Like, I love him. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I really do.
100%.
Yeah, he is. I think he might have the most wins in this division's history. I can't remember now, but he's great. Kenshiro, too many fights. Yeah. We might go over the time limit here, guys, but whatever. We have to go over a few minutes.
By the way, small news. Brett Okamoto just put out Aspen Ladd is fighting Macy Chasseur on July 24th.
24th. Oh, they changed the date because it was supposed to be the 10th originally. Okay, so we changed the date. That's a great fight, though. Macy is a good fighter, as you guys know. I like her, but I like Aspen, too. I don't know. I have to think about that. Aspen hasn't fought in a while. She had an injury. All right. Main card time. We've done the prelims, guys. If we have to go over a few minutes, we will. It's not a big deal. Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. This kicks off the main card. You know what? This actually is a great fucking fight. This is my pick for fight of the night. I love this matchup. Two guys are going to go there and slug it out. I love this fight, Marcel. Minus 160 for D-Rod, plus 140 for Platinum. What's your pick?
My pick for this fight is Daniel Rodriguez, man. I think Daniel Rodriguez has looked good so far in the UFC despite this last fight against Nicholas Dalby where he got UD'd.
That fight was so close, man. It was. Yeah. I did score for Dalby. I checked how many decisions I did, but rewatching it really could have gone either way. So this guy could be on like a long, winning streak right now. Go ahead.
That's true, but I didn't expect him actually to lose to Dalby. I thought he would have won. So he got tagged against Dwight Grant, man, in that fight, and that could have been stopped at that moment. But he came back and he won himself via knockout in the first round. Probably his best performance so far was against Tim Means, I think, in the UFC. That was his debut, where he finished Tim Means in the second round. Mike Perry, you never know what you get with Mike Perry, man. Sometimes he's on, sometimes he's not. He looked great against Mickey Gall. Also, his ground game seemed very much improved against Gall. And then he fought Means, and it didn't look great at all. Dude has knockout power, we know that, but when is the last time he knocked somebody out? I think it was against Alex Reyes, and that's like almost 4 years ago. So for me, Daniel Rodriguez, he's more into his game right now. He looks good. So I'm definitely picking Daniel Rodriguez. Yeah, I have no idea who's the favorite. I think Rodriguez might be the slight favorite, or is he an underdog here?
So he's a slight favorite. Perry plus 140. And a lot of people are taking Perry here. I don't see it, though. I'm 100% with you. I like D-Rod a lot in this fight, actually. Again, it's not kickboxing. It's mixed martial arts. This guy's the more well-rounded fighter. I know Mike Perry's got some decent wrestling. We saw against Mickey Gall. I think, Rodriguez has shown he's a better, probably, grappler. And he's got submissions, guys. Like, he does submit people. Like, he's got a few submissions. We saw against Tim Means. So he's got that in his back pocket. If this fight is not going well from the feet, he can use that. The fight with Dalby, I don't know what happened there. I mean, he couldn't get into the fight. It happens. Guys have bad performances. I understand he's a little bit older now, guys. Like, he's not a young dude. Daniel Rodriguez, he's 34. So, he came to the UFC a little bit late in his career at age 33. But he hasn't been fighting for that long. He's only been 6 years in the sport. So this is a guy who's getting better, I think, a little bit. Like, he looked great in the UFC, I think. Tim Means, the Gabe Green fight was a great fight. He looked awesome in that fight. High output, volume striker. And then Dwight Grant fight got rocked, came back and brutally knocked him out. So I like this kid. And Mike Perry, don't get me wrong, guys. I mean, he's obviously a scrapper, and he's shown throughout his career that he's tough and durable, but man, I think he's on the decline. I think that fight with Vicente Luque took a lot out of his career. I really do. That fight was a fucking beating, man. His face was broken in half in that fight, basically. Like, remember the picture of his nose, Marcel? It was like, on the other side of his face. And then I was at the fight with Jeff Neal when Jeff Neal knocked him out with the head kick too. So this guy, I think, is on the decline, guys. He's coming off and the fight of Tim Means. guys, I mean, he probably should have won that fight, and he gassed out and lost. Tim Means, who's up there in age now too, so I can't trust him at all. I like Rodriguez. Daniel says Rodriguez fight to lose. Chin suggests you could pull a stunt, proceed with caution. Yeah, I mean, he did get dropped against White Grant, but he came back. He actually knocked him down 3 times in the round. Like, so everyone's talking about how he got dropped. What about the fact he knocked the other guy out? Like, are we forgetting that? This guy is quite good, man. And there's another guy, Marcel from Combache. He had a lot of fights there in Combache. Great promotion, right? So I like this kid, man. I just think Mike Perry, I don't think he's got much left, guys, at this point. We'll see, though. I mean, like, listen, he's a new dad now. He's going to have that motivation. I know what that is. Feels like firsthand, so I get that. But it's MMA. I think Rodriguez is the better MMA fighter, more well-rounded. So we'll see what happens. All right. Next up, we got a women's strawweight bout, Marcel. Nina Ansaroff coming back after a 2-year layoff. She is a -140 favorite here against Mackenzie Dern's an underdog, +120. And Kevin said Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz. I always wanted to see that fight. That's a good one. But let's stick to Ansaroff and Mackenzie Dern. So Dern's a small underdog right now. What are your thoughts on this fight, Marcel?
Yeah, man, ranking-wise, that makes sense. But in my opinion, stylistic, it doesn't. Nina Ansaroff coming back from pregnancy, right? Last fight she fought in June 2019 against Tatiana Suarez. If that fight was going to go 5 rounds, she had a good chance, man. You know,
yep,
but she did great in the 3rd round. First 2 rounds were for Suarez. So before that, a 4-fight win streak against some solid competition, Angela Hill and Claudia Gadelha. Definitely the Claudia Gadelha one was big, I think, at that time. You know, Mackenzie Dern, we all know her. Great ground game, great BJJ. She's like 5-1 in the UFC, only lost to Amanda Ribas. Yep. Looks improved every fight, in my opinion. Only the Verena Jandiroba fight was kind of close as well, I think. But she looked good in all those other fights. I think the Jandiroba fight, she didn't look bad at all, but it was just close. And Jandiroba is a very talented fighter herself, you know. So for me, I think Mackenzie Dern wins this, man. Mackenzie Dern is more active, you know. She is in the zone at this moment. And Nina Ansaroff, she's not active, obviously, for obvious reasons. But I mean, Nina Ansaroff, she's okay, but I never see her as a top fighter, you know. And I think Mackenzie Dern can become that top fighter that everybody thinks she can become. She was a little bit too much hyped when she came in the UFC, I think. And right now, she finally has found her momentum, and she can rise to the top. If she wins this fight against Ansaroff, she's in the top 6 or top 7 of the division. So, yeah, I'm taking Dern here. I think Dern decision. I think a decision for Mackenzie Dern.
You get these comments. Straight Wager says Dern plus money is insane. Ken Shiro says baby mom versus baby mom. Yep, it is. He picks Dern. Yeah, they're both mothers. Dern was a mom too. You forgot. She's had like 4 fights since then. Dern all day, in my opinion, Kevin. And Straight Wagers likes Dern inside the distance. So I guess it's up to me now, right? I'm with you guys. I like Dern here too, man. Everyone on Twitter is like, the Ansaroff's going to win. She's going to piece her apart. Why is everyone saying that, man? I don't know. I mean, listen, she's definitely a talented fighter, guys. Like, Ansaroff is a good fighter. But she hasn't fought in 2 years. Like, I really don't know what she's going to look like in this fight. We can't just say she's going to be back to 3rd round fight, the fight, you know, the fighter in the 3rd round with Tatiana, who, by the way, yes, she did lose. Like, she did almost, you know, come back, Marcel, but she still lost the fight. Like, she was dominated the first 2 rounds, by the way, too. So, you know, I think everyone's just kind of overthinking that 3rd round a little bit. Don't get me wrong, she looked pretty good in it. Here's the thing. Mackenzie Dern has horrible wrestling. It's really bad. That's the scary part about this fight, because she only has 5% takedown accuracy. Really bad. But even though she sucks at wrestling, all her fights end up on the ground anyhow, Marcel. Every fight goes to the ground with this girl. Every single fight somehow ends up on the ground. A kick, a slip, something. It ends up on the ground. And on the ground, she has a massive advantage, a huge advantage on the ground, in my opinion. If the fight stays standing, you know, people expect Ansaroff to just be the same fighter she was when she fought like Claudia Gadelha and stick and move. Guys, that was 3 or 4 years ago. Like, she's a mom now. She's older now. Like, this is not the same fighter, I don't think. I get it. You know, she's training with Amanda. That's her wife, and you know, that's the best training partner you could have probably. But I got to be honest, man. I just not sold on her, Marcel. You know, she's 4-3 in the UFC, guys. Like, she's not a great fighter. She really isn't. She did improve a little bit later in her career. She has some okay wins. Don't talk about it. Gadelha is a good win, and Hill and Marco is not bad. But I don't know, man. I just think Dern finds a way to win. She finds a way to win, guys. even the fight she's losing, like the Hannah Cyphers fights, getting pieced up, gets to the ground, puts her in the knee bar, somehow got her leg. The fight with Randa Marcos, she slipped. Randa jumped in her guard, she got an armbar. She's very opportunistic like that. And the Verna fight, that's why I'm picking her, because that was a close fight, but she showed in that third round how bad she wanted it. She broke her nose in the second round, and she said, I don't care. I want this win so bad, and did everything she could to win the fight, and she barely edged it out. Like, I thought she won, but it was so close, Marcel. But she did everything she wanted to do to win that fight, guys, and I really like to see that. She's a young fighter, guys. She's young. She's only 28, Marcel. She's 7 years younger in the spot, and she's training with Jason Perillo now, who's a really good boxing coach, as we know. He really fixed up Bisping against Rockhold and stuff. So I'm with you guys. Like, am I going to bet on it? I'm not sure. I don't know yet, quite frankly, because I can't see the path with Ansaroff kind of sticking and moving and just, basically, stopping the takedowns and outstriking her. But at dog money, I'm surprised. Like, I think Ansaroff, someone you would make an argument as a dog. I am surprised the odds are flipped this way. I think the odds should be the other way around. So there is some value in Dern. It's just, it's not the best matchup for her, but I like her here a little bit. What are you going to say?
Can I add something to that?
Yes, you
that
can.
Many people are buying too much into that the fake accent of Mackenzie Dern. The whole time I see that on Twitter. Yeah, and that doesn't have anything to do with fighting. You can't take that into like, she annoys me, her fake accent annoys me, so I'm gonna pick against her. That's just bullshit,
Yeah.
And I see that with many people on Twitter and wherever. It's just stupid, man. Just check the fight and just be honest.
This is why you gotta ignore the noise too, man. Like I see, I'm literally on the internet all day because this is my job, right? Like, I don't want to be on Twitter all day, but it's my job. And I see what everyone's saying, right? And everyone's like, Ansaroff's going to piece her apart. I just don't see it happening that way. I actually really like the fact that we're all kind of on Dern here. That's good, guys. We're all smart people here. So let me get these comments. Valerie, hey, Valerie, she says the new boxing coach could put her in trouble. I feel like, it's going to be a good thing for her. Maybe that's what you're saying. I think working with Pearl is going to help her, if anything. Don't get me wrong. Ansaroff's training with American Top Team, so she's at an amazing gym, obviously. But I'm with you guys. Sorry, I shouldn't have put that up there. Kenshiro, watch what you're saying on here, man. Come on. Let's see here. Nina didn't have a smooth pregnancy. No idea what people think she started 50. I'm with you. I mean, she has to go 50 just to win 3 rounds, probably. So, or 2 rounds, I should say. I don't know, man. Dern's a dog. And Kenshiro says, I'm with you. The Rebus fight, everyone's kind of like writing her off because of that one fight. Rebus is a good wrestler, grappler, right? Like, she won that fight, and she was a huge underdog, and she did well. But ever since then, Dern's been, kind of been undersold. Everyone thinks she sucks now. I don't think she sucks. I am worried about her lack of takedown ability, guys. But, I think that's going to be more, like, we'll see that more when she gets to the upper echelons division. And I'm not convinced Ansaroff. I think she is still ranked high in the division, but Marcel, she hasn't fought in forever. I'm not convinced. So I'm with you guys.
Actually, both Ansaroff and Suarez haven't fought for the same amount of time. So.
I tweeted that yesterday. That's crazy. That is so crazy, guys. Because I think a lot of us after a fight thought, okay, Suarez will probably fight for the belt. She never fights. That girl's really inactive. It's really unfortunate, She had cancer. She missed a lot of her athletic career. Came back, dominated, won Ultimate Fighter. Now she can't even fight because she's got a neck injury. So
she's so good.
She's great, but I mean, I have questions about her now too. I really do. All right. We all like the dog there. That's good. That's a consensus dog, it looks like, guys, on Mackenzie Dern. So probably end up having to play it just because everyone's off of her, right? I actually like that like everyone I see is on Ansaroff. I'm like, good, give me the plus money in Mackenzie. Like when I saw it this morning, I'm like plus 120. So I feel like I'm talking myself into it. I gotta think about it a little bit more. I haven't made any plays. I'll wait. I gotta be patient, but that might be a play. Sam Alvey, Julian Marquez. Hold this fight more. So we're probably going to go over the limit here, guys. We'll try to get it up quick, but we're going to go over probably like 10 minutes or something. Julian Marquez, minus 190. Alvey, plus 165. What do you think?
So we're probably getting an update about the Marquez, Miley Cyrus situation on Saturday. What do I think about this fight, man? Sam Alvey, I don't know. His last win is against Gian Villante, and that was in 2018. After that, he lost 4, and he drew against Daun Jung. So, and it's also against fighters where I think he should have won. For example, against Klidson Abreu, against Rogerio Nogueira, who was on his way out, kind of older a little bit. Ryan Spanner's split decision was a close one. I agree with that it was a close one. Could have been Alvey's way as well. Julian Marquez, didn't look good against Maki Pitolo at all in his last fight, but he turned it around and he got an anaconda choke in the last minute of the third round and he won the fight. Before that, he almost didn't fight for 2.5 years, so that can also be the thing why he didn't look that great in the fight against Pitolo. But man, Marquez has looked good before, man. He looked good against Stewart, he looked good against Phil Haas. The split decision against the Chirico could have gone either way, in my opinion, if I can recall correctly. Why would I go with Alvey in this one? I have no idea. I think Marquez in this one, and I think Marquez will probably finish the fight this time via TKO, probably in the first or second round. I think Marquez is fired up. He needs to win this for Miley, so he's going to win this one.
I know. I agree with King Juries. No ring rust Marquez. I'm with you guys. He had ring rust in that fight. We saw it. He couldn't get going for 2 rounds, right? He gets a choke out. That was his first fight in 2 years. I think he's going to be ready to go in this fight. He took it on short notice. He's ready to go. It was supposed to be Zach Cummings against Alvey, who's Marquez's training partner, right, at Glory. So, these guys are already training for Alvey. You can't pick Alvey, I don't think. Don't get me wrong. He's actually not a bad fighter. I think he can still win some fights. But this is kind of a tough fight against a guy who's very, very tough in Marquez. Good chin, good striking, good ground game. He's just good everywhere. So I like Marquez too. I mean, am I going to bet it? I don't know. He's 2-1 basically right now. I have no idea. Probably not. I mean, there's so many fights in this card that I might stay away from it because Alvey definitely had striking. He's got some striking, and I thought he beat Jung, so that's something worth considering. But moving down to 185 again, man, at his age, I don't think it's a great idea, Marcel. So we'll see. And he says, I have a feeling Alvey finds a way to not win. Yeah. Again, he's on a 5-fight winless streak, and the fight with John Vellante was a split decision that he could have lost too. So he could be on a 6-fight winless streak. He could be. He's in the UFC because the Dana White likes him. Fans like him. He's a cool guy. He's an exciting fighter for the most part. But I just feel like his best days are past Marcel, with Stan Alvey. So yeah, guys, I got to go with Julian Marquez in this fight. And but I mean, Alvey's tough, so I'm thinking probably decision. What are you thinking?
Yeah, man, definitely. And then I had Marquez for TKO in the second round.
Okay, so you got second round TKO. Yeah, it could be. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if the method.
Ground and pound.
Could be. He does have an advantage on the ground for sure, I think. So, Sherman Porter in the main card over Romanov Espino. We'll talk about
Typical UFC.
That's next week. We'll talk about that one next week. We have 3 more fights left. Let's get through them. Ali Askabab. I can't even pronounce this guy's name. Ali Askab Kizriev. I'll just call him Kizriev. That's easy to pronounce.
I love it.
Kyle Dawkins. I want you to say his name, by the way. And then, anyways, Kizriev minus 125, Dawkins plus 105. How do I say this guy's name?
Normally, if it's K and H, you have to say so. It's Ali Askab Kizriev. But you can say Ali Askab Kizriev. So,
okay.
Yeah, man, Ali Askab Kizriev. He's a good fighter, man. He came from the Fight Night Global organization where he was a champion. He fought Paul Harris there. He fought Inamoto there. And he looks good, man. He's now fighting at 185 again. He came from the Contender Series. I still don't understand how you can sign somebody to the Contender Series who's 12-0 and has solid wins on his record against good opponents, and then you could get him to Contender Series to fight poor Henrique Sugimoto, and he submit him in 50 seconds. What did you expect? But now his debut against Kyle Dawkins. Dawkins is a good fighter, man. I was fan of him in CFFC. I think he looked really good there. He's good on the ground. He fought Brandon Allen in his UFC debut, a fight he could have won actually, but Brandon Allen won via unanimous decision. I think Dawkins came back pretty good in the third round, if I recall correctly. And then he beat Dustin Stoltz, who's pretty dominant fashion. This is, I mean, no disrespect to Dawkins, but man, Kizriev, this is a difficult fight for him, I think, man. And I'm high on Kizriev. I don't know how you see that. It can be like, who's this kid again? Who also came from the Fight Nights Global organization and then lost against Carl Robertson in his debut.
Kopilov or something? Roman Kopilov?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It was Kopilov. Yeah, I think it was Kopilov.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always tricky, right? But I think Kizriev is a good fighter, man. I'm pretty high on him. I would pick him. I think Kizriev gets this one done. I even think he can win this via submission. How crazy that sounds against Dawkins. But I'm taking him via decision. Gonna go safe in this one.
Yeah, I'm not sold on this guy, man. I gotta be completely honest. Like he's looked good in his tape. Don't get me wrong, guys. Like he's had some quick wins and stuff, and he beat Paul Harris. But that's the shadow of Paul Harris. That's not the same Paul Harris that we saw in the UFC. This guy is a quitter now. He wants to, like you talk about a quitter. Paul Harris goes in there to get his paycheck and go home. Marcel, he's like Bob Sapp now. He doesn't want to fight, guys. Seriously. Don't get me wrong. This guy's looked good. Like he's got submissions. He's got some striking. We saw a little bit. But I have a lot of questions about him, man. What happens if he can't get that first round finisher against Dawkins, who's, by the way, incredible on the ground and super durable, as we saw against Brendan Allen, and super big for this division. Kyle Dawkins is a huge guy, 6 inches taller, 2 inches more reach, and he's 3 years younger. He has all the physical advantages. That helps. But in general, this fight's probably going to go to the ground. I think Kyle Dawkins wants that to happen. I think he's the better grappler. We saw through his CFFC career. So, if it stays standing, I think he's going to have some issues with this guy because Kizriev has definitely got some power. As we've seen, he's pretty fast. But I'm leaning towards Dawkins a little bit, man. I like him and his brother a lot. I think these guys are winners. The Brendan Allen fight could have honestly went either way, guys. He could be an undefeated fighter right now. I think he is a good fighter. We saw he bounced back against Stoltzfus, and he fought smart. He just pushed him against the fence, grinded him out. I think that's what he does here. Kind of grinds this guy out in the grappling. So I'm going to take another underdog here. I mean, we both had a few underdogs in this one, Marcel. I will take the underdog here, Kyle Dawkins plus 105. It is a close fight, but I lean a little bit towards him. I think he's looked pretty good in the UFC, honestly. I think this kid and I think his brother, Chris Dawkins, are both very good fighters, especially Chris Dawkins.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I think they're winners. I feel like these are winning fighters. So we'll see, because Kizriev obviously is undefeated and everything, but you mentioned a great comparison, Kopylov, and I just checked. He hasn't fought since that fight 2 years ago. Never fought again. So that freaks me out. Okay. 2 fights left, guys. Man, 14, 15 fights. 15 fights on this card. Crazy. Arnold Allen against Sodiq Yusuff, Marcel. Let's do these ones kind of quick, but I mean, let's give it a good breakdown as well. Screw it. Whatever. I don't care if the time goes over. It's not a big deal. Sodiq Yusuff, minus 135. Allen, plus 115. This is a great fight, man. Not an easy fight. What are your thoughts on this one?
I have a super confident pick in this one. Sodiq Yusuff, I've been super high on him even before he was in the UFC. Then he got signed to fight in the Contender Series. He was a huge underdog against Mike Davis, I can remember. And I didn't understand that at all at that moment because I thought Sodiq Yusuff was great. But I think it's because he lost to Luis Gomez, so I had that slam and tighten that he was kind of an underdog in that fight. He had a great fight, one of the best fighters of the Contender Series of all time, I think. And he got signed. Sorry, man, I have a problem.
Okay.
Great fight. Then he won against Suman Mokhtarian. Mokhtarian didn't do well in the UFC, but he has some solid wins as well later, man, against Shayman Moraes, Gabriel Benitez, and Andre Fili last time out. So now fighting Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen's listen, man, the dude is in the top 15 of the division. He's 10th or 11th, but he never fought a ranked opponent in the UFC. That's kind of weird to me, and it's no disrespect to Allen because if some British people see this, I got a lot of hate for this, but let's be honest, he shouldn't be in the top 15. And it's not always his fault, man. He had got some cancelled fights as well against Jeremy Stevens and Josh Emmett. But his wins against, probably his best win in the UFC is against Nick Lentz. Let's be honest. Gilbert Melendez wasn't the Gilbert Melendez. He wasn't Strikeforce anymore. Mats Bernal is probably a great win for him, but he was dominated in that fight for 2.5 rounds, and he had a Hail Mary submission and submitted Mats Bernal. The same thing he did in his debut against Alan Omer, where he also got dominated, and then he submitted Omer. Split decision against Makwan Amerikani. I still think his best win is against Nick Lentz. Yusuff for me all the way. I think Yusuff is a better fighter overall. Maybe you disagree with me, Adam. I see you looking very difficult to me, but
this is a tough fight to call. I think, honestly, man, I really think this one's tough. Like, I like Yusuff too. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to pick him in this fight, but Allen's good, man. He's got the skills, man. He's a big kid. He's strong. He's got good striking. He's got really good submissions too. He does have a problem with wrestling, so that's going to be something to keep in mind going forward. And I think it could play out in this fight. Everyone thinks he's going to play on the feet. Maybe Yusuff goes to his wrestling because I think he is the better wrestler. He's very strong. He is good at getting in top position. I'll be quite honest, man. I feel like Andre Fili was maybe a tougher fight than Arnold Allen, right? And that fight was close, though. It was close, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but Like my initial reaction was Yusuff. Let me go with Yusuff. But then watching Allen again, I kind of forgot what he fought like because he hasn't fought in forever. He's a good fighter. He's undefeated in the UFC 7-0, but he fights once a year, Marcel. He fights low-level guys.
Yeah, that's
it. Like so there's a lot of issues. Like I have a lot of questions about him. But we'll see. I mean, there's going to be some underdog card that hit. Maybe this is one of them. What are you going to say?
I'll tell you this right now. Some featherweights who are in those rankings are just below the top 15. Some telling me let us fight Arnold Allen because he's in the rankings without fighting any ranked guy. Let us fight Arnold Allen. Everybody wants to fight Arnold Allen there because he hasn't fought a ranked guy yet, And Sodiq Yusuff now has the chance. So if Arnold Allen beats him, he can say, I deserve to be here. But I still don't know if he deserves. He's ranked above Edson Barboza. He's ranked above Shane Burgos in the division. He's ranked above Bryce Mitchell, And for me, I don't know, man, if he's that good. I think he just got some issues, man, with the fights falling through and fights that put him higher in the rankings probably falling through against Josh Emmett and against Jeremy Stevens. But I think he needs to prove himself, man, to be established in the rankings. I don't know why he is there, to be honest, at this moment.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually am with you on this one. But I just think this kid is pretty talented, man. I really do.
Yes. No,
he is. And he could be a surprise upset here. It could be like, man, is everyone's high on Yusuff? I am too. Don't get me wrong. It's just, there's something about this one that's like my spidey sense is tingling on this one a little bit more. So I got to be honest with you because it's like almost too easy to pick Yusuff a little bit. And when it's too easy, sometimes that kind of freaks me out a little bit. All right. Main event of the evening, guys. We finally got to it. Last fight to break down. Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland taking the fight on short notice. Right now, Marvin's a huge favorite, minus 330. Kevin Holland plus 270. He's promising not to talk as much this time, guys. What do you think, Marcel? Can Kevin Holland pull it off? He's a huge underdog this time. What do you think?
It's definitely possible, man. The dude has knockout power, so he can knock out Marvin Vettori. But if you're going to look at the complete game, Marvin Vettori has a good ground game and he's solid on the stand-up. And I think Holland doesn't have a good ground game at all, but he is good. He has a good stand-up game. I said this before to you, man. I don't really think that Holland is that great as many people think he is. He's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's deservingly where he is he's number 10 rank. I think he deserves to be there, but I don't see him making that step to the top 5. I don't think he's that good, and or at least not good enough to be in the top 5. For me, man, Marvin Vettori is a complete fighter, man. I think he really is developing and even becoming a world-class fighter, maybe. He really looked good against Jack Hermanson, where many people are counting him out and thought Jack Hermanson was going to win. He did well in that fight. He also did well against Adesanya, where he lost a split decision. I had a 29-28 for Adesanya in that fight, by the way, but he showed he could compete with these kind of guys, And man, Al Zolino will be so proud of me because I'm picking Marvin Vettori to win this fight, and I think he will do it via a submission in the 3rd round. I think he puts Holland away in the 3rd round. I think maybe I don't think Holland will talk as much as in the Brunson fight because I don't think it's possible to talk as much as in the Brunson fight, and this won't go 5 rounds, so he can't talk as much if it stops in the 3rd. But I think Vettori wins this one, man. I think it's also the fight for Vettori to lose. If he loses this one, this would be devastated for him in the division at this moment. And for Holland, it's only up if he wins this one. He comes from a horrible fight and he gets a huge chance to get in the top 5.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's crazy, right? Like it's like that fight happened 3 weeks ago, and we're like, oh, this guy's going to move to welterweight. He's staying at middleweight. He gets an even higher ranked opponent than Brunson, which was crazy to me, but. He's the guy that stepped up and took it, right? So credit to him for this.
For sure, yeah.
Man, I think the book's out on him now, though. Like, you can beat him. He's beatable, guys. First off, he can mentally break. We saw him mentally break in that fight. And you can take him down easily. Vettori actually has really good wrestling. It's quite good. And I think if he wants to just wrestle him, he can do that. I think it's smarter for him just to grind him out than stand and bang. Why would he want to stand and bang, right? Vittori's tough. He's durable. He's got good striking. But, Holland's long, man. Holland's got KO power. So if the fight stays on the feet, it's going to get a little sketchy in my opinion. But man, I like this kid Vettori, man. I got to be honest, after that fight with Hermanson, like I'm like, damn, this guy's really good. Like he's better than I thought he was. And I think he can grind it out, Marcel. Make it, just a gritty fight and grind out probably a decision, maybe finish. I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe it goes to 5. We'll see. We'll see. I was surprised how good he looked in like the 4th and 5th rounds. Like his cardio didn't fade in that Hermanson fight. Having said that, Hermanson, he got injured in that fight, so he wasn't fighting to his true capability, which, so you got to keep that in mind, I guess. But still, this kid's good. And like you said, the Adesanya fight was super close. Like he's good. And he's looked great. Like the Andrew Sanchez fight, Cesar for Carl Robertson went through him quickly. So he's an improving young fighter. I always get a little bit scared, Marcel, when like Kevin Holland was a huge favorite. Like not huge, but he was minus 175 the last fight. Now he's plus 275. That's a huge difference. Like it's like everyone's off this guy now. And I get it because we all know the book's out on him, right? But it freaks me out when we're just completely writing some guy off now. You know what I mean? Like he might go in there and have a great performance too. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I don't read him off, but I expected the way it went against Brunson. I expected Brunson to go back to his basics, taking him down and grinding him out. That's what I expected, Yep. So it's styles make fights, and you got to look at that sometimes. And I think the Brunson fight was a horrible matchup for Holland. This one can be different. If Holland's going to talk and he gets under Vettori's skin, you don't know what's going to happen because Vettori is a very emotional guy as well, Yep. But I think Vettori overall is a more complete fighter and a bigger talent than Kevin Holland. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. It sucks because I actually really like Vettori against Darren Till. I thought he would win that fight for sure. What were you thinking in that one if that had been the fight? Did you have a pick for that?
Man, yeah, I might be on Vettori as well. But
yeah, I'm more
really
confident in that fight.
Well.
I gotta be honest, like Till just hasn't looked that good to me, honestly.
That's true.
Holland before this fight though, guys, we were all like, oh, he's so good, and it's just like now everyone's writing him off because of one fight. That kind of freaks me out a little bit. I just think that the book is out on him now at this point. He can be taken down. He can be mentally broken. If he's sitting there talking, man, he better not be talking the whole time like last time, especially if he's losing. Please don't do that. Like, if you're winning, sure, Marcel, but if you're losing, yeah, hot-headed Vettori is a concern. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Vettori is a bit of a hothead. I think Holland was calling him like a meathead today. He's like, he's a big meathead or something. Like, but he's a good fighter, and
yeah.
I'll be honest, had the Hermanson fight not happened, I don't think I would have picked him here, but we saw the Hermanson fight. We saw him go full 5 rounds. He looked good. I'm done, man. I'm so tired. I've been working all day, guys, since I think 7:30 in the morning, so I'm done, man. I can't talk anymore, Marcel. My voice is gone. You guys were awesome for sticking with us. It was a long card, man, 15 fights. All right, Marcel. I mean, any last thoughts on this card? Obviously, I'll get AJ back on Thursday if there's any updates, guys. So if any fights fall off or new fights get added, we'll talk about Thursday. Anything else, Marcel, with this card?
No, guys. It's early, so you got to watch early.
Yes, that's the other thing. It's 12 noon Eastern. So whatever you guys live, based off that, but 12 noon Eastern is when the prelims start. I prefer the afternoon cards. I love them personally. So
me too.
I always loved the earlier cards, but that's it.
The funny thing is people are always to me like, oh man, you probably like those earlier cards, man. I really like it to be at midnight, being just watching myself or with a friend. I don't mind, but just relax. Drink something, watch the fights, being on Twitter a little bit, interacting and that kind of. That's what I like, And now it's a little bit early, and I have other things to do as well. So I prefer the later cards, man. I don't mind to stay awake till 7 or 6 a.m.
That's good. All right, man. I can't even talk anymore. Plug your stuff, and I'll plug mine, and we'll get out of here. I've been grinding it today, man. It's a long day.
Big Marcel24, Instagram and Twitter. You can check out MMA DNA on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and make sure you check out the podcast on Thursday with Adam and with AJ Shulo, MMA Oddsbreaker.
Oh yeah, man! You guys can follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. The podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com. As you guys know, YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please, that would help. You guys can find me at bjpenn.com for all the news. Over at MMAOddsbreaker.com, there's a few articles. We got the One Championship odds out. We got UFC odds, Bellator odds. So a lot of stuff over there, guys. What else we got here? My MMA News, I wrote a story about Calvin Kattar last night. They got a lot of traction. You guys can check that out there if you want. Like I said, BJ Penn on my news. And then the other thing, Elite Betting and Elite Fantasy. I will be back with my DFS breakdown. That is behind the paywall, guys, but it is so worth it. That website's amazing. Cole actually is working for us now, too. Marcel, I don't know if you saw that. He's writing about baseball for us. So the team is incredible, guys. They have some really good handicappers. All my DFS stuff's there. My bets will be there later this week as well. I'm tired, man. This was a long day. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. Long podcast today, but we had 15 fights, and Marcel and me like to talk, so that's what you get. Anyways, guys, appreciate you sticking with us, and I'll be back Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern with AJ Shulo. Peace, everyone. Bye.